go ahead and assume that everybody else was told they were going to read, but I ran into 3 or 4 other readers who said they couldn't drink because they were reading. Unfortunately, I said, I'm not reading. So anyway,
we're in the right crowd.
but actually this is perfect because this is a story about books and bookstores. Not new bookstores, but an old bookstore in Butte. Let me gather myself. This is just too damn funny. Anyway, the title of this mostly true story, because it's a lot of recollection, 30 years old, it's called Adventures in Book Buying. The Maiwa building on Mercury Street in Uptown Butte is a Chinese cultural museum these days. But when I lived in Butte in the early 1980s, the main room on the ground floor housed a junk shop. The first time I saw it, the store was closed. So I pressed my face to the window to see what was inside. What I saw amid the heaps of tools, battered home furnishings, tennis rackets, bottles, and decomposing rugs was a small collection of books. To me, there is nothing more promising than a collection of old books, especially when seen like this, dimly from a distance. At that moment, there is always a chance, however infinitesimally small, that one of them is a first edition of Moby Dick, inscribed by Melville. Or, since we're in Butte, maybe a journal that belonged to wobbly martyr Frank Little, murdered by gun thugs in 1917. Or, and why be restrained in that first moment of wild imagining, what if I stumble upon the lost book of Cicero, that single manuscript once owned by Petrarch, lent to a friend and never seen again? You never know. Even after decades of disappointment, I still allow myself to hope. A sign in the window said that if the shop was closed, to knock on the door at the top of the stairs, which were just to the left of the main entrance. As I began to make my way up, the first couple of stairs creaked under my weight. In response, from behind the door above, there erupted a furious racket of barking and snarling, as if somebody had touched a cattle prod to a dog already predisposed to unpleasantness. He attacked the door too, throwing his body against it and tearing at it with his claws. I stood there frozen, wondering if I should proceed. The door didn't look particularly strong. What if the dog broke it down or pushed it far enough to slip out? All indications were that I would be ripped to pieces before I could even turn around. But those books, you just never knew. And so I kept climbing, clutching the railing to support my trembling legs. With each step, the dog reached a new pitch of fury. But I made it to the landing at last and timidly knocked on the door, as if the junk shop owner, if he were home, hadn't been sufficiently alerted to my presence already. When he did finally come to the door, he didn't open it, but shouted out, "Who's there?" "Nobody," I said. "I mean, nobody you know. I just wanted to look around your shop." We were both screaming to be heard above the barking of the dog. And when the man wasn't speaking to me, he was cursing at the dog. "My shop," he shouted. "What do you need?" "Well," I said, feeling as if I'd already let him down somehow, "I just wanted to look around." There was silence for a moment, then another communication. "I'm busy right now." "Busy?" I said to myself. "Busy? What, making a bomb? Butchering some unfortunate urchin?" "Come back tomorrow," he said, "noon." So I went back the next day, repeating the whole terrifying scene. The dog seemed even more enraged than the day before. But I knocked again and told the owner, whom I still hadn't seen, that I was the fellow he had told to return today. He seemed doubtful, but eventually he opened the door a crack into which the snarling dog inserted his snout, slobbering, growling, and barking. The man whacked the dog on the head and then pushed him away with his foot as he slowly squeezed himself through the slightly open door, all the while swearing and threatening. He got through at last and slammed the door shut, and the dog, as if this were a game with regular rules, immediately stopped barking. The man before me was tall and very lean, hawk-faced with black glasses taped at the extremities, intense blue-gray eyes, and a jaw so distinct and angular that it looked detached, like something from an archaeology dig. "I'm sorry about Scout," he said. "He doesn't like people. Hell, he doesn't even like me." "Now, what is it you were looking for?" "Books," I said, looking up at him from a couple of steps below the landing. "I like books."